begins as one of Benjamin's did, kein anders, nobody else, no other person. It made me think of the way in which the sonnet of all forms has been used as the spearhead of formalism of a certain kind. Benjamin seemed to love that in many different ways, rejecting. Did he reject? I wonder. I don't know what he rejected and what he accepted. I think he wanted everything, the way we all do, the way I do anyway. Well, over the past decade, my daily practice has changed a little bit in that over the past decade, 5 long poems have emerged. Yesterday, a wonderful reading down the block, down Warren Street at least, George Quasher read from a long poem of his, which is part of a long series of poems of his. I think he has more than 5, but I haven't counted. And he had the sense to read a continuous passage from one of the books. Well, I want to show you the 5 books, so I'm going to read a few continuous passages from all 5. Starting about 10 or 11 years ago with a book called Fire Exit, going on to a book called Uncertainties, then to a book not yet published called The Hexagon, then to a book soon to be published, I believe, in Hudson itself, called Hot Thread, and then a 5th novel-length poem called Calls, just completed this summer. So, maybe that's the whole reading. That's saying that's all. I'll start with from 5. Can you hear me? Am I clear?
Yes.
I'm trying to caress the microphone and make it love me. I'm going to read from Fire Exit. But if you burn a log a wolf has pissed on in deep winter, but it's summer now, some strange night, cold sugars of his appetite will dance and smoke above the Franklin stove, filling the parlor with outrageous schemes, lust and bite and midnight chase. Close that old book. Old wolf is rotting still. No need for memory. Forget the meat you bit or bite. Don't let melody resolve so quick inside the harmony your head. The melody of intercourse, that there are sentence patterns here, you have to learn from listening. The opal sky gives way to gray and then to pearl, a little rain, a little wind, and thou, asleep beside me, wilderness and now. I wolf my way through the light, guided by cloud contours. Brisk north wind shoves the sky up to sea. Secateurs and flowers, only voices here, no people. Bodies come later. After the linguistic conventions are established, it's time for meat, and entities come down to the surface of Earth to take up residence in the pronouns, to inhabit the language they had to make, flesho-mechanical bodies to manifest and control, the organs of articulation needed to speak, then ears to hear, then hands to cover them when the information grows too thick. And the entity yearned for opalescent repose, east of the sea, where the strayed voluptuary tries to think of something else. Only the images count. Ignore the propositions. They're just armatures. to wind our bright things on that teach us how to be and touch and mean. Only the images, the stories for the sake only of the instruments deployed, the scythe and the haystack, lipstick in the canoe. I saw you part your lips last night, standing beside the bed I got in first. For a change you were putting lip balm on, standing there in your blue peignoir. And this is heaven, I understood. Eden was an accidental suburb of this moment. A cluttered Levittown of heaven. Heaven that is here now, thingly and will-free. Apocalypse of this. There was section 53 of Fire Exit. Fire Exit is made up entirely of 3-line stanzas. So it's curious, we've heard Schoemer talking about many means formality or formalisms, that all of these 5 last books I'm reading from have the formality of one sort or another. In this case, Fire Exit is all 3-line stanzas. Uncertainties will be 2-line stanzas. Hexagon 1-line stanzas. I'll explain later as I go along. And not too much fun. So here's the next section. Morganatic marriage of moon and earth, all dance and no romance, the Polish army fleeing through the trees, and submarines. Think about submarines. To live in metal underneath the sea, lilacs rotting on a spring hillside. Canada, an ear against the wall, paper cup, a blind man holds. He stomps through the subway cars. Smells bad. He's not blind. He has no eyes. He has leprosy. He stands in front of you and stamps his cane. Right between your feet. Give him a quarter. The sound of silver will cure the smell of skin. Then his body totters down the train. But his image stays in your mind forever. Those glaucous, ruined eyes, all the dialects of blindness. His presence stinks all over you, but a mind inside as pure as mine, you think, but how to reach it? A man like him has no inside, you think, and close your eyes. Myriad would be her Irish name. Sorry. Myriad would be her Irish name of Pearl. My reed, it looked like, and I am her book, one of them, big for my age, caught in the reeds a while, then unfound, I found myself, I think. Well, brother Moses in the floating bassinet beside me was hoisted by princesses. I endured in my flat, floating condition until language caught me mid-babble, and I spoke. God knows what I said, but it was enough to find me later on a dry island, waiting for the weatherman to beg him for my life. My voice had not lost him in the woods, because a tree is a certainty, lifted by the angel air. The dawn wind dies down, as if the fierce sun blew it, shadows walking the waves so big, mottling sheen, quick they pass through. Brother of me, the flame comes back, his eyes too close to every, remembers the electric blue of her peignoir. First color he knew had a special name, a name drawn out of likeness or allegiance. Kelly green and Dyer's indigo, gold rings of women passing in the sun. They were his mother's too. Enough of him, the words discussed among themselves, about themselves. like fetuses, global talk show from the womb, until each word gets born and born again in sad blue sentences nobody really understands. What have the words got to do with bodies? He paused and listened for a change, hoping there really was an answer, but heard more whispering through dark rooms, hallway coming closer, rustling, Ruskin fear, the skin that touched so many could touch me, fear the sea. Is that some kind of answer even? He should have been a rabbi. Long walk in St. Albans Sunday, scuffling through prolific maple leaves, fallen scarlet and desperate and gamboge. So grab the memory by the middle, and I deny it. Peter's third cockrow is always for you. Deny you ever knew these streets. Faux log on fireplace, Sunday night chop suey. Deny while there's still time to fill your head with other people's memories, sanitary and weird, and good for you a little. Nothing ever happened. Believe it. I'm sorry. I thought you were applauding my coffee. It all comes from coffee. Secret. The poetics of coffee. Poetics of coffee. Now I read from Uncertainties. Two-line stanzas. Have you ever been afraid you've forgotten how to read? I'm in that situation now. What is that word? What is that word? Well, interesting. So I'll read section 78 from Uncertainties. Through trees, we move in a still world. Everything flashes around us. Skin is pure result. We wear the hide of so much being seen. Passing trucks give light. The air gives substance. All our idioms are wrong ideas, are empty. We have settled for music when we could have had bread. Traffic, well composed, sounds in the key of thunder. Hurry to the gallery. Mother's paintings cover every inch. Lie on the ground and watch projections fill all space. This is young art. It still has colors in it. It pours water on itself. It sings to strangers. It is a teenager's first time getting drunk. We had painted the ceiling a spotty pale blue. We walked around the woods naked for a while, being for the moment female and male, and followed you. You hid in the bushes while the audience blushed. They tried not to give you your hiding place away. To find you, I just spoke my body towards you. Brave of us to be naked in the middle of so much art, exhilarating act of doing what comes next. And the next section. Of course it wasn't my own body I danced in. I'm glad we can borrow other bodies, not just at night, to do the night work where the truth is made. Not just owls and just dreams, not just silence, but real machines. And far away the whippoorwills, he said, went frenzy-throated when a soul slips free. But that is a soul we have evolved beyond the soul. A new ghostly organ rouses in us now, less personal than soul, more magnetic of influence, insulated from marketing, immune to cheap reports. A tougher ombre in a silken boat, like Egypt, but with soft skin, a silent Debussy. You get the picture, you see it in my eyes. Weary of sacrilege, you apologize to the dark. All those voices are good to hear, all of them. Only one woman you must not think about. For every man there is one deathly Dalila inside. All the rest are just like you and accurate. Are we here even yet, with all that singing in the trees, room full of moonlight, and someone just left? The next in the series of 5 books is a strange one called the Hexagon. It's written in, I have to keep looking it up to get the number, 638 stanzas. I'll only read a couple. Each stanza is made up of 6 lines, hence hexagon and all that. And each line is a separate sentence. A little bit like Quasha's preverbs in that way, a text written pretty much at the same, being written at the same time as this one. That is the possibility of...
Would you like me to raise your microphone for you?
Kale. Do I have to read that?
Not at all.
Thank you very much.
Then you don't have to lean as much.
The hexagon, each line is an independent proposition, for what it's worth. And it was an experiment in how 1 becomes 2 becomes 6. Hexagon to fight the pentagon. Because pentagon is all about war, being 5, and hexagon is all about lust and sex, being hex, being lust, being Venus, being Tiferet, being all the good things that 6s are. So is my attempt to bring peace to the world safely, without actually standing in the street and doing anything. So I'll start with stanza 184. You'll get a sense of how this goes. No truth in what I say, the only truth is saying it. I hear the edge of things, the crumbling headland. Don't think coherence solves the problem of desire. How to be quiet enough to hear is enough of all. Timing is everything, and there is no time. I learned that language yesterday, but now, lost the lucid in the scout parade, things come into being through mere attraction. Flood the deserts with nutrient guesswork, bring the moon a little closer and fake rain. Cherish the distances between things. Distance is love. It is the only of. Things look at us from the woods. We are not privileged with their thinking. Too many of us in one story love them. How long we wanted to tell them so. Patch of sunlight on the lawn, their valentine. We say je t'aime with tears in our eyes. Nature. We used to live in that town. Nothing happens. Every island is like this. We wave our arms to bespeak a maybe mainland. Night fog to keep us snug inside the ark. The flood never ended. We're waiting for the crow. We thought it was laughter. It was waves. It was birds. Then the 4th in the cycle is called Heart Threads. Heart Thread. The omnipresent Quasha comes into this story too, though he doesn't know it. I was sitting last year wondering what to call this long poem that had been written the year before. I was at a concert of music by Quasha and his friends doing, Quasha does percussion of various kinds, and he was working away at a relatively simple xylophone-like instrument at the moment. And I was going in my head through what to call this poem. And I thought this and that, and suddenly a phrase that he played reminded me of a great composer, Lou Harrison's, whose work called Heart Sutra. Had done a setting of the Heart Sutra some years ago, and I thought, Heart Sutra. And I translated sutra from the Sanskrit into English as thread, and so George had given me heart thread. It's your fault. Or Harrison's fault, or somebody's fault. Not mine, not my fault. And they'll only blame the publisher, as usual. You know. I'll start with section 322. Heart Threads is made up of sections in 12-line stanzas, 12 lines. The lines, however, are not end-stop. They roll over like any other poem, continuous. The word kairos, used in this first section, is the Greek word that gets translated in Gospels as now is the acceptable time. Kairos is the right time for doing something, whatever that is. All that's missing is the rain of gold, Danae's outspread self, the blue flower clinging to your fingertips, the crow calling loud, right overhead to tell me what's what. The time has come, he says, Kairos! Like a glee or a gospel, anything you choose, long as it has a tune in it. The watchman on the roof stirs in his sleep. The trees wake up and tremble at that song. You wear your clothes woven from the stars. I know who you are with all that. My talk, that's the one word I won't say. And if it rains, we say some other thing. And if the sparrows drown out timid raindrops, there'll be some peace at last in this cartoon. Forgive me my investigations. A bee has to live. He drones, hum around the hive, these artist boy band poets. I'm just the wrong kind of man. I couldn't find honey in a honey jar. How strange the world is. All contents in containers and a bird going by. Knowing no more than less. Voices of the cyclists wheeling past, chatting loud as if they're standing still. The slender miracle of mind we all can hear. I climbed in winter up Glastonbury Tor, stood in the ruins of St. Michael's Chapel, peered up to the roofless tower to watch the original star from which we fell. You and I slept together on the hill of Tara, peaceful in cool summer, right beneath the stone of destiny. We live our little times apart, Himalayas, blue flowers too. Where is there for us to think but this half-acre hot summer, bird song almost too many leaves, every green, this place, here. No lingering, slumbery rubato, haunted coda. Without slowing down, it simply stops. Stefano Greco plays Bach's unfinished 14th. He has a theory, I guess, I never understand. I think silence is the best philosophy. Those empty minutes that we long to touch. I fill them here with ambrosia, a sappy word that meant in Greek, what does not die. Life, that limitless cliche. Oh, love me as much as I love you. You can do it if anybody can. You're the only one who understands. Those are the last sections of Hartford. And from the most recent production, the longest, I guess, a book called Calls. You must understand that cause is C-A-L-L-S cause. It's also C-A-U-L-S, that which wraps around. It's also Kaf Lamed in Hebrew, which can be read, and it can be also read as voice, as all kinds of things. Kol nidre, kol is everywhere. I asked Charlotte if she would pick out a couple of sections to me to read at the end. So she picked these ones. She has read it, this book. I have not read it. But Billy has read it. Thomas has read it. I haven't. I just wrote it, but I haven't read it yet. It's very strange, you know, to read a book that you wrote, to read it as a book for the first time. Haven't done that yet. Scared, I guess. I start with section 65. She has stripped all her names away and now is human, moving to a music she can't hear, because hearing is made all of names. Worship church in the chest, the thing he thinks with heart. Happenstance, the green of trees reaches up the air. Mansard roof of aimed at heaven, so Protestant in our little world. Opera every minute, praise my voice, something like a word. It comes to meet you, engine puffing, rails gleam in moonshine. Surely it will take you home. This word will be there with you. Capsize your smug kayak, plunge you in the meaning of itself. You castaway in a horoscope, you movie I liked but saw already, then suddenly you are new. Never till now have I seen you as you are. Indian paintbrush at the door, honest indigo, we were born to be together. The house is shaped like an elephant. It has no door. You have to dream your way in. Maybe nothing real ever has a door. It's of imagination wrought. Such entrances, yourself unselfed as you go in. No one knows the weather, or who can whistle a cloud up for you, or what wind like Schoemer to jog your wits. My father was Queen Victoria. That much the orange told me. Berlin doctor made me eat nothing else. So I decided to stay awake a week. Just business days. The weekend was for God, always closer when you sleep. I was in America, and why not? An ancient statue buried under East New York came to the surface and told me what I needed. Learn Greek, honor women, take long walks. It could have been Kant I was reading. The statue's eyes were just as much of stone. Only just that section from Calls. And I want to conclude by honoring my recurrent superstition. I have to read the most recent poem I've completed in any reading, good or bad. This one I like, actually. It came in dream, and most of the lines were actually dreamt as such. A few others I put in to make it something. How to Sleep, it's called. Go somewhere and be small. Be very small. And when you're there, you're asleep. Then sometimes time happens and you get bigger. You're in a place. You're in a body. How big a body is inside it. Miles and miles. You lie there in it, listening. Sounds near and not so near. Roman soldiers hammering the cross.